People always ask, where did we get the name Blue Water Climate Control? When a Navy ship casts off lines, exits the harbor, and loses sight of land, that's blue water sailing. It takes a team of people to do that. Tireless work, focus, and attention to detail. So much of starting a business is just like that. After it's done, you get filled with deep satisfaction for accomplishing something, and it's quickly followed by, now the real work begins. We're Blue Water Climate Control.
Good evening, everyone. Patches in the house. Buck is not in the house. She has a family member having surgery in West Virginia. There you go. Bucky Cat here, Patchy Cat, is going to hang out with us. Alex Carter is here with us. Alex, say hi to everybody. He's producing the show, and he's going to jump in and share a little bit about his mama and Pat for us here in a bit.
Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday out there. I know I am, and I'm super duper excited to be here, actually be on the show. It's pretty fun. I know I got big shoes to fill, but I'll do my best.
None of us can replace the Buck, but here we are. I have an exciting Wednesday evening. I was scrubbing litter boxes. You're welcome, Patches. So I took a break from that to join the show. Because Alexis is not here, we could talk recruiting. Normally, I don't talk recruiting because I don't want to put her in any position of discussing players who are still in high school. So we can discuss some of the recent recruiting activity going on around here. But first of all, let's say happy birthday to Pat. She would have been 69 on Monday. She was born on June 14th, which is also Flag Day. She should be here. We all know that. But definitely want to tell her happy birthday. If you are on Instagram and you did not see Candace Parker's tribute to Pat, I highly recommend you go read it. Make sure you have some tissue with you at the time. A ton of former Lady Vols were posting all over social media on Monday about Pat's birthday. So it was a beautiful tribute to her. Alex, obviously you're out in West Tennessee. Both your parents went to UT Martin, which is Pat's alma mater, where she played basketball. Tell us about your family connection to Pat and Martin.
Well, so my mom and stepfather both went to UT Martin. It's actually kind of a funny story. They were high school sweethearts, but broke up, and then they both married, got divorced, and then they got back together after all these years. But they both they went to McKenzie, which is where I'm from, McKenzie, Tennessee. It's a very small town. It's actually real close to Gleason, which I think that's where Tess Darby's from. And but UT Martin's not far from here, and that's where they went to college. My mom, I think, was a year or two younger than Pat. But back then, I think they played half-court basketball for women. And my mom just remembered, this girl named Pat Head that was a really good basketball player, and she ended up becoming, who she was. And she played basketball with her. And then my mother, I believe her last 2 years, she was the manager, because she found out very quickly, just because she was a good basketball player in McKenzie, even at a small college like UT Martin, she realized very quick that she was not at the level of a lot of college athletes were at. So, but yeah, she knew her and loves Lady Vols. I think I've said this before, but my first college anything was a Lady Vols basketball game back in 98. I think. No, 95. Yeah.
Wow, you got here for the three-peat.
I did.
Getting underway, 96, 97, 98. That was good timing by you.
I was born in 90, so yeah. I don't remember a lot about that game I went to. I think we were playing Vanderbilt. I think it was at Memorial Gym.
But yeah, you would have been, 5?
Yeah, I was 5.
Okay. take a little sip of water and think about that. Everybody's rolling in saying hello or meow, depending on if Patches is in the view. Graham Morgan went to UT Martin. Good for you, Graham. There's Pat connections all over the place. This also is the month, obviously, of Pat's death. Coming up on 5 years of that. That seems hard to believe. June 28th, 2016. If you want to have the special commemorative shirt that Orange Mountain Designs put up that was in honor of Pat's birthday, you have the June box of the month and also the shirt of a legacy to remember with the Forget-Me-Not and basketball in the center. I've had some people say the shirt is particularly high quality. I've seen some posts on social media. So if you're looking for a special shirt to get, that would be great. OrangeMountainDesigns.com. The physical store in Alcoa, Terry announced this week, would not open until late October. Obviously, it's time to basketball season, getting ready to get in full swing, but she's still open by appointment. Only if you want to physically shop in the store, you go to the website and make contact with her there. Also want to shout out Alexis Hornbuckle basketball. She's tutoring here in Knoxville and North Carolina. You can go to her website, find out how, when, where. Also, Just Pass It and the Gold Standard Fitness and Sports Performance Training. I can't believe I got Just Pass It right without having to see the thing. And that is obviously Jamel Johnson, her place. So those are our sponsors. And of course, Blue Water Climate Control. You saw the video as we got started before this began. Tommy Grimmett, or if I say it incorrectly, just put the pronunciation in there for me. We really miss her. Yes, we do. Very, very much. It's hard to, it feels, 5 years seems like so long ago and then seems like yesterday. Yeah. Speaking of UT Martin, or Martin, as the case were, Martin, Tennessee, because Alexis is not here, I can do some recruiting talk and actually say specific names for you guys. Jada Harrison, she's in the class of 2023. She's a guard from Martin, Tennessee. She was on campus this weekend to take a visit. As y'all know, visits finally were allowed again after almost 14 months. They shut down in mid-March 2020, and teams were finally allowed and players to visit schools in person if they want to, or coaches can also go out on the road and see them in July, which will be very, very handy for coaches to actually see players playing in competitive games. So Jada Harrison, obviously Tennessee native, in here taking a look around. She's in the class of 2023. Ashlyn Shade, a guard out of Noblesville, Indiana, also was in town this weekend. She's in the class of 2023. Those are two very excellent guards in that class. Corey Allen is another one in the class of 2023. She's I'm sure she's been on campus at some point. I don't think she's been here recently. She could not have come in the last year, of course, unless she got a ticket to a game. She's also a Tennessee native. And then today, for those of you who follow me on Twitter, you would have seen that Ziana Walker, she is a guard from Wichita, Kansas. She also was on campus today, but that was a lone visit by herself. She is a 2022, which of course right now has the coach's attention a little bit more. Not a little bit more, but 2022s are really good because they can sign in November after they commit to whatever school they decide to go to. She's being recruited by a lot of schools across the country. She plays for an excellent team in Wichita, Kansas. And again, that's Ziana Walker, 2022. Now, a lot of people have asked me, when are a bunch of recruits going to be on in different classes? Before I get to that, Beth, how many 22s are we looking to take? Right now, I would say 2 to 3. But every recruiting class is going to have a but with it because of the transfer portal. At this point, you just expect transfers. I'm not saying I expect any one particular individual on this current team to transfer, but I also say you don't be surprised in March and April if someone does transfer, only because it's become so common. So you have to look at the coaches have to look at what number they would take, assuming the roster stays intact, and then consider the number that it could be if there is indication that there would be roster movement. So it's never an easy number to nail down. Obviously, Justine Passat, y'all know that 6'4" shooting guard, can play the 3 and the 4.
She's been committed a while, has she not?
Yeah, she committed, I want to say last fall.
Yeah, October, I think, right?
Before her junior year, and obviously she'll be going into her senior year this year. She'll be on the summer circuit. She catapulted up the rankings, and I expect her to climb even more. In my opinion, she's top 10 in that class because she wasn't on the showcase circuit and she wasn't getting, quote, seen. And now she's on a different team, and it was seen in April. She had been, other teams had wanted her, but she had stayed loyal to the Sure Shots in New Jersey. And her parents were of the opinion that we don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars to travel all around the country when you are a freshman or sophomore in high school, just so you can be seen. So I could not disagree. I just wholeheartedly agree with that as a parent. It costs a pile of money to travel with these players all over the country. Your teams have to pay entry fees. You've got to pay hotel, travel costs, food. It is a lot of money. Adam said, do we know why Destiny Salary had to transfer? Adam, I think that ended up being one of just a mutual agreement of where they had their end of the season talk, and it was determined it would be in her best interest, both from her point of view and Tennessee's, if she relocated. And so I think that one was surprising, but like I say, I'm never surprised anymore when a player transfers. It seems like she's happy with her decision, and Tennessee, obviously, what you do is you line up with who you've got and move on, and that is, of course, what the Lady Vols have done. I wouldn't cast it as a had to transfer. I think it ended up being she ends up transferring. I don't think it was a matter of you're gone, goodbye. I like I said, when you get in these end of the season meetings, you never know which way they're going to go. You may go in thinking a player is going to say this and this, and then they say something else. Or the player may think the coach is going to say this and this, and they say something else. Since none of us are in there, I never want to speak for what happened in that meeting. And even if you ask somebody in there, you're going to get their point of view of it. But I think both sides ended up with the best result for what happened. Obviously, Destiny remains in the SEC, so we can still follow her, and I wish her well. I mean, I wish every young lady well as they pursue their basketball dreams. So, Beth, I saw that she said it wasn't her decision, and I think that the reality of it lies somewhere in the middle. I think later on she walked that back a little bit. I don't know. I don't like to ever engage in rumor or back and forth with essentially what is a teenager. Mm-hmm. I like I said, in these end of the year meetings, some things can get said on both sides that are unexpected on both sides. And sometimes things evolve in that meeting to a point that you did not realize it was going to get to. And then I think at the end of the day, as the quote goes, it worked out to what both sides felt was best. So, again, you get into a she said, he said, this said, they said, when you start asking what happened in a particular meeting. My dogs are behaving very badly. So, I just always take with a grain of salt any reasons on either side for a transfer. I have found that the reasons are usually kind of multi-layered, and there's different reasons for it. And I agree. I don't get any hard feelings from the players on either side, for that matter.
Right. There's a girl out of Ohio, and I tell you what, I've seen some video on her. Do you know anything about Chance Gray? I know she's out of Ohio, but
I've heard that name, but I don't know that she's considering Tennessee. But okay. I could totally be thinking of someone else. And let me That one I can't remember. She's in 22. I may have seen a final list of schools she had, but I also could be thinking of someone else. And one thing that's really hard to drill down into recruiting is exactly, as you know this from men's football and basketball, what is a committable offer? I can look at a list of players that Tennessee is interested in or that player has interest in Tennessee.
Sure.
That doesn't mean every player on that list has what you call a committable offer. Like, we will take you if you commit today. There could be, we will take you if this or this happens. So it's a bit like trying to read tea leaves, trying to figure out exactly who Tennessee has fully offered or who is fully interested in Tennessee. Also, if you have 2 or 3 open scholarships, you don't start duplicating players. Right. You know, you've got Justine Passat, a 6'4" shooter. You know, you always want to get some guards in the class, and then obviously some post depth. But when you look at 2022, there's not a lot of post in it, that class. And that may be one that you end up looking a transfer route, or, I mean, the transfer portal is in constant play now. It's literally a part of recruiting. Like it or hate it, it's here, and that's what it is.
I mean, it was obviously a big weekend for recruiting in all sports. I see baseball players and football, women's basketball, men's basketball, softball. I mean, it was a big weekend on Knoxville, it looked like.
Yeah, I agree. The football especially has had so many. I think they got a big commit this week. I think everyone on both sides, recruits and teams, are so thrilled that in-person recruiting can happen again. That has been very hard on teams and coaches to try to recruit via formats like us talking on Zoom or in text messages or Facebook Live. And Tennessee has an advantage, particularly in women's basketball, I think, and baseball now too, when you see what the crowds are like, if they can get players on campus. Once you see Tennessee and you see what the facilities are for the women, and you see the locker room and the court and the banners and the campus and all the new construction and the new dorms and the new West Dining Hall that's going up, I think it is very beneficial for Tennessee basketball to get players physically on campus, particularly when you have a relatively new head coach, and that Kelly's been head coach a long time at other schools, but she's only entering her 3rd season in Knoxville, and her first 2 seasons were both affected by COVID. One ended early, one started late. So I think it's particularly ideal for Kelly and her coaching staff, particularly 2 new assistant coaches, to be able to get these players physically on campus. It just absolutely helps.
Definitely has
Beth
to.
said 2 from softball and portal. Yeah, I'm not sure of the 2. I've heard some names. The softball portal, I mean, you had transfers in softball every year, just about at every school. There you are, Alex. Now I can see you. It's easier to talk to you when I see you. So I would expect there to be portal softball transfers. Only not that I think that softball has an issue with transfers, only that it happens in that sport pretty much every year. Softball never had a sit-out season. That's only new for some of the other sports.
Yeah, I know baseball. It was a pretty big weekend for baseball, and you know, it's the first time that's happened in a long time, it seems like.
Yeah, I watched those on TV. I'm glad it didn't go to a game 3. Man, you just never want to get in a game 3. Just things get squirrely in those clincher games. But yeah, I mean, Tennessee had never hosted a super regional, and now they've never lost in a super regional, which is pretty incredible. Particularly in a best of 3, where in baseball it's hard to sweep. It just is. If you try to win every series. So I went to a baseball game 2 years ago, I did not go this season, but what an incredible, and it was hot. I don't know what it was like on your side of the state. We were scorched over here, and those people were still there.
Oh, absolutely. It was horrible. I don't know if it's really any hotter over here in West Tennessee, but sometimes it seems like it, maybe a little bit. You ain't got that. Every time I've gone to East Tennessee, it seems like it's just a little bit cooler, maybe. It's all flat over here, and golly, that humidity is what kills me.
Yeah, it's hot here. It's too hot. Jessica said, do you think this group is okay sharing playing time because the freshman class has added some depth? My answer to that would be they better be, because you got to earn your playing time. And Kelly has shown that she's willing to go deep in the bench too. So it's not like if you're earning playing time that you're going to get 30 seconds, 1 minute a game. She has shown that she will get players in the game. But a lack of Tennessee looked like they had depth last season, and we saw what injuries did. So I'd absolutely. And right now there's 14 on the roster, but 2 aren't cleared to take the court. Kean Green, Marta Suarez. I mean, I keep forgetting Marta Suarez. She had the foot surgery, of course. That's will take time for her to get back. Kean Green. It feels like it's been almost a year since she tore her ACL. That's just me losing track of COVID time. But in reality, she's at what, 5 months out of surgery? That's a 6 to 9 month rehab, with most players saying it's a full year before you really feel 100% recovered. A full year from her surgery will push into January. So while depth appears to be a strength right now, and it is a strength, I think Kelly's going to need all of them. And yes, these freshmen, I don't put pressure on freshmen. I never will. The physicality it takes to play at this level is something they've never experienced, and they won't experience it till they get in the game. They can mimic it a lot in practice with the upperclassmen and the male practice players, but the male practice players also are under strict orders. Do not hurt them. So it is you can make it as game-like as possible, but you do not understand the speed and the physicality of SEC basketball or Power 5 basketball until you get in the game. So I always pump the brakes on freshmen. Do I think these freshmen can contribute? And Alexis Dye, the grad transfer, absolutely. I don't have any doubt. How much? How many minutes? If you're Kelly, that's a good problem to have. Oh, because that means every time you come to practice, you are earning that starting position. It is not a given because we don't have anybody behind you.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, and it's different, like you were saying. They can do the one-on-one practicing and everything, but when them lights are on and the crowd's involved, it's a totally different animal, I'm sure.
And we all just saw Neyland. The plan is for full capacity. Now that's outdoors, but I mean, this is certainly trending in the direction of increased capacity at Thompson Bowling Arena too. And yes, if you're a freshman, running out on that court for the first time, you're going to have butterflies. You're going to be nervous. So I always tell people, let them have time to get adjusted. They got to get adjusted to the crowd, the noise. Then you got to go get adjusted to very strong women. You're no longer the best player on your high school team who are ready to put you on your butt, particularly as a freshman. And you're not going to get any calls either. You're going to get tossed around, held. There's just so much to adjust to as a freshman at this level. So I do think they can help. I think all 4 freshmen will be able to help.
Yeah, just the physicality alone is probably a lot different.
I will say the 2 guards, obviously 2 guards are freshmen, Brooklyn Miles, who, I always point this out, met Kelly for the first time when she moved in the dorm over Memorial Day weekend. That's the first time they met in person, which is how weird recruiting was in a pandemic. And then, of course, Kaya Wynn, who is from Nashville but played her last season in Houston area for a family move. Those two freshmen are going to open some eyes. I have no doubt. I love that Brooklyn Miles is really 5'3". I mean, she filled out her form where they have to put up there as 5'3". So the recruiting services, I think, at 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", even. She's 5'3". But her whole life, she's been told, you're too small, you're too little, you can't. And so she's got that attitude of, you can't tell me I can't. I'm going to show you what I can. Kaya Wynn, I know y'all seen some of the videos, some of the photos that are on Lady Vol social media. She's got a college frame already. I'm not saying she's got college strength, but she's got college frame. And I think she's got a very high, she's got a feel for the game. And that's one of those things that you acquire. I don't think you can really teach that level of just understanding. Seeing, like Jordan Horston, very similar. She sees things on the court that a lot of people don't see. I think Kaya Wynn has that same mentality. She can see plays developing and knows where the ball needs to get to or where she needs to get to before the play actually occurs. And then Brooklyn Miles is fast. Those are the reports I'm getting. She can fly down that court. So I am excited about these freshmen, and I think Kelly is too.
Something you mentioned earlier before we started talking about recruiting, you said that like Alexis, she can't talk about recruiting. I think you said something about it last show. Why is that? Is it because that she was a former player? Mm-hmm. Is it the same with all sports? Like Jason Swain, who does, his show, he can't talk recruiting and stuff like that.
I don't listen to all those shows, but I tend to take the very do it by the book, don't ever get in that gray area. Alexis, as a former Lady Vol, and she is considered a representative for life, a booster sort of, as it were, but more there's for Lady Vol basketball.
Right.
So if I were to ask her about a certain recruit, that would be putting her in a position where she cannot advocate for any recruit to come to Tennessee. Now, what she's allowed to do, if I said, Alexis, why did you go to Tennessee? She can pitch all she wants about why she went. If a recruit were to contact Tennessee and say, I'd love to talk to Alexis or Candace or somebody, former Lady Vol, they can assist with the sharing of information. What Tennessee cannot do is say, hey, Candace, would you call so-and-so? Talk to her about recruiting. The school cannot initiate it. They are considered representatives of Lady Vol basketball. There are things like players, a recruit can talk to a player if they request a conversation with a player. If they visit campus and some of the former Lady Vols happen to be there or at a game, they could run into each other. They could say, hi, how you doing? You just can't sit down and have a recruiting pitch. So with Alexis, I don't want to start getting into specific recruit names and put her in the position of ever appearing like she is endorsing or advocating a particular recruit, because it could get her in that gray area.
Sounds like a lot of red tape.
It is. And I tend to just lean toward what is the most conservative approach I can take to make sure it doesn't run afoul of any NCAA rules, just to protect Alexis. I mean, nothing would come of it to me, but it puts Alexis in a bind.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want to do that to her.
I completely understand. Okay. See, I wasn't sure. I didn't know how that worked, but yeah, that makes sense.
Renee Suter said, can they serve Wendy's? For those, that went back to an old Tennessee UConn thing where two former UConn players, when a recruit visited, they happened to be eating Wendy's in Gino's office, and people said it was a coincidence, but several people did not think it was. So that happened. Gosh, how long has that been now, guys? 10, 12 years, longer?
I remember that.
I don't even, yeah. So was it Wendy's is the joke. Just like McDonald's bags is a joke now. Sometimes, yeah.
And don't forget about tacos. Did you ever, the Arian Foster taco incident?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Jessica said it's going to be hard to choose that final starting lineup. I agree, Jessica, and it also could change. I mean, if I don't think Kelly stayed with one last year. I think there were modifications to it. Part of that also became an injury issue. So it is something that I'm sure the coaches will have figured out by November. Speaking of scheduling, this is the time of year where we look around at other teams' schedules to see if they're out yet. And the Salukis of SIU, Southern Illinois, they had a story that they will be opening their season against Tennessee. Did not have a specific date. That doesn't mean that's Tennessee's opener. Tennessee could have an opener before that, but we do know Southern Illinois University will be playing at Tennessee. Obviously, Stanford game, that was paused because of COVID. The Pac-12 teams were not playing out of region. They stayed on the West Coast. So that game should be restarted. It would be Stanford's, I believe they would just let Stanford come here, or exactly how they work out the logistics of that. The Texas game, you would hope that the Texas game would be back on. I don't know if they would just pick it up where Tennessee went back to Texas. As y'all recall, Texas had a positive COVID test that turned out to not be positive, but came back that way on the day of the game, and the game had to be canceled about 2 hours before tip-off. And then, of course, UConn is back on the schedule. We all know that. They will be going to Connecticut next season. No date picked yet. My guess is always going to be somewhere in January of 2022. And then Notre Dame was taking a pause. They also went to a regional-only non-conference, and then they had, because of other conflicts, had asked Tennessee to take a break and then come back. So that would also be on the table. But the one game we know for sure, or two, are UConn game, non-conference, and the Salukis of Southern Illinois. So that is what we know about the schedule so far. Beth asked for an update on the Twins. I need to check in with Nikki. I haven't talked to her. Oh, there's the baby, the little baby, Chaluchi and Mez. That's his nickname, Mez. Thank goodness I can pronounce that one. He was going to have his stomach surgery, the little one there, Chaluchi, this week. I need to check in with Nikki, which is a good question, see how she is doing, and I will update that on social media. Everybody knows the GoFundMe. I think it's over 36,000. We're trying to get to 40,000.
Which we do have the link in the description.
Thank you. Let me find that. I've got it somewhere. If you reach out to me privately, and I know you, which would pretty much be everybody in this room, I will, if you would prefer to mail a check, let me know and I will get you the information to do so. I am just obviously not going to put that out on social media because no one should have their address on social media. I highly recommend you not ever do that. There are enough crazies in this world without inviting them in.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get this to pop up. There it is. Okay,
yep, there it is.
So Nikki is incredibly appreciative. Kelly Kane, I got to see her. I took some photos out at the Pat statue last week. Some of y'all may have seen those. I met Kelly Kane out there because some of the money had come to me, and I had to write a check for the total and get it to her. So all of that has been taken care of. I appreciate everyone who donated. Everybody a couple people sent money to me via Venmo, so I had to flip that over to her. So every single dime has been accounted for and going directly to Nikki. Nikki got her bank account set with the GoFundMe, so all of that money is flowing directly to her. She is overwhelmed. The messages she sent me last week were that it is a complete, my shoulders she's like her whole body relaxed. It's such a relief, such a weight off her shoulders. It was causing her a lot of worry and concern. if you want to privately reach out to me for the baby registry, I also have found that it's actually if you go to Amazon and do baby registry and check for Anasike, you will find it. So as anyone knows, with a baby, what's your biggest need? Diapers or Amazon gift cards. With 2 babies, oh my goodness, diapers for days.
Oh yeah.
So
well, I commend you on what you're doing to help her. That's an amazing thing. So shout out to you for all your hard work. Thank
you, Alex. I thought Lady Vol fans would step up. I did not expect 36,000 in about 2 weeks. That was incredible. I did put up the photo too over the weekend. Her husband made it from Nigeria. He got his visa to travel. He is here. Nikki looks so happy in that photo. She has done a lot of this by herself. Obviously had help from former Lady Vols, especially Kelly Kane. But I know Shelly Sexton Collier, who knows, obviously Coach at Webb, knows Nikki well, played at Anderson County High School, where Nikki now coaches. I know she was helping out. A lot of former Lady Vols have stepped up behind the scenes to help Nikki, and she is incredibly appreciative of that. But Beth, I do need to get an update on the little one because I know he was having his surgery. Can't forget our sponsors, OrangeMountainDesigns.com. The store in Alcoa is closed. It's open by appointment only, but there will be a reopening in late October. This is Pat's birthday month, June 14th. She would have been 69 years old. June 28th will mark the 5th year of Pat leaving this earth. So if you want a special commemorative shirt, a legacy to remember, Pat Summit. Also, Alexis Hornbuckle basketball, performance training. Jamel Johnson and her group doing all the stuff to get you ready for fitness and sports performance. She's obviously a soccer player. It's not just for soccer. And just pass it. Can't get in college if you don't pass your coursework. That's one thing I will also give Kelly a lot of credit for. She is looking at players' academics closely. That doesn't mean you have to be an academic all-star to play basketball, but it does mean you need to be applying yourself in the classroom. So that matters to Kelly. She said the people who tend to succeed in the classroom also do so on the court. That doesn't mean you've got to be a straight A student, but it does mean if you're capable of making B's, you're not making C's. And if you're capable of making A's, you're not making B's. So it all ties in together. Alex, how'd you do in school? What kind of school were you?
Well, let's see here. I guess we can be. I did okay. I wasn't top 10. I did go to college.
Hey.
I did go to the University of Tennessee. However, after one semester, my priorities were not in the right place. I enjoyed going to football games more than class, and just I had a lot of fun. And I wasn't mature enough, I guess, for a big school like UT, so ended up going to Bethel University here in Little McKenzie. But I wasn't a terrible student. Like I said, just probably wasn't ready for big UT. But how about you? How were you as a student?
I did really well, actually. I was a biology and chemistry major. I was about 4 classes short and switched to journalism. So it took me a while to get out because I worked my way through it. But I was a very average athlete, but a very good student.
I hear that. I played football 4 years in high school because, well, my father was a football coach. So, but I wasn't very good. But because Dad was the coach, he kind of had to play.
Yeah, you didn't have much choice there.
Definitely not.
Kimberly asked, do we have any more recruits coming this week? Kimberly, I'm working on that, trying to determine it. I have to hunt down various places to find out exactly what's going on. Well, here's what I do know. Tennessee will have a million dates. I mean, I'm lucky to ever even know what today is. Tennessee has a June 27th. has what they call Lady Vol Experience Camp. And it's high school kids, and it's sold out. It's not just for recruits. It is for high school students, high school basketball players who want to get a full day of Lady Vol experience, which is, of course, drills, and the players are there, and campus tour, Pratt and weight rooms and locker room and Thompson bowling and all of that. So that particular day is when I would expect quite a few 2022s, 23s, and 24s. So this weekend is going to be the weekend before that. So if you were coming to an experience camp, there's probably no reason that you would be here this weekend. You would just wait the following weekend. And then, of course, it's the fourth holiday, and then boom, showcase events are going. So July gets kind of crazy. That doesn't mean nobody will pop in. Like Tennessee had that visitor today. And Ziana Walker, she was here today. Doesn't mean you can't come in during the week. I try to keep up as best I can. Tennessee is getting involved early with 23s, 24s, 25s. Of course, 2022 is a focus now since they signed in November. And as y'all know who follow me or the assistant coaches on social media or Lady Vol recruits on social media, there are players being offered and interest all over the place. It's a lot to track, and it's fun to track. The early word I heard after the April showcase events, and this was, of course, before recruiting was opened up, the coaches could only watch live streams. They could not be there, was that Tennessee was getting a lot of chatter from a lot of recruits in terms of as a destination school. And that is despite the fact, Tennessee lost in the second round of the NCAA tournament. And that is in spite of that fact, Tennessee did not get further than that. So there seems to be a lot of excitement about what Kelly is doing, about who she hired, and Samantha Williams, and then obviously Joy McCorvey coming in right behind her. So Tennessee is at least top of mind with a lot of recruits right now. Does that mean you get them all? Of course not. You don't have room for all of them. Does that mean you don't miss on some of the top ones? Of course not. But does that mean you are getting into the lives and heads and thoughts of a lot of the talented players in those classes? Absolutely. Graham asked, any thoughts on men's basketball recruiting? For this show, Alex, if you know anything, jump in. I do not. I have got my hands full with Lady Vol stuff, so I could not give you an intelligent answer on men's basketball recruiting beyond the fact it appears to be going very well based on what I see at GoVols 247. That's a website I work for, and there's quite a bit of content there about football and men's basketball recruiting. Graham, if you want to check it out. Again, that's govols247.com. Alex, you got any insight into what exactly is going on with men's basketball?
As far as 2022, which it's obviously still pretty early, we don't have any commits as of yet, but I don't really have any insight. I know that we had a heck of a 2021 class, and so I hope to. I think we finished with third in the country and number one in the SEC, which, if you can out-recruit Kentucky, then, that's incredible. But as far as the 2022 class, I don't have really any insight. I apologize.
No, that's okay. It's a full-time job keeping up with recruiting. And just another thought about men's basketball. What a sea change. I mean, Roy Williams is, retired. Coach K is going to retire after this season. There's some big names and some big shakeups in terms of men's basketball.
Oh, yeah, two legends, and especially I'm not taking anything away from Roy Williams, but, Coach K, I mean, what a career he's had, not just for Duke, but all those men's basketballs, I mean, the USA basketball teams, the Olympics, and just – Definitely. I still have the Sports Illustrated that has him and Pat on it for the sports.
Oh, yeah. They're Woman and Sportsman of the Year in 2012.
Right.
Yeah. Kimberly said if we offered Tatum Green 2024 trying out for the USA team, I know Tennessee is obviously looking at her. As far as offers, I swear that word is like the most loaded word ever. I never know what is a fully committable offer. And if a kid says offered by, you assume they're offered by. But if you were to start counting up offers, and I've said this about football, since you can only take 25 a class, you can see something like 35 offers. And so some of those are going to fall off, or some aren't committable, or some end up being changed. I always take with a grain of salt any offer until I hear committed, and the student is actually saying, yes, I'm going to commit, I'm going to sign on this date, that kind of thing. So it is really hard for me to actually determine what is a full-on offer we will take you right now this second. So Kimberly said, wish we could get a women's alumni game like the men have coming up. It's a great idea. That would be a lot of fun. So Kimberly, we're going to put you in charge of it. No, I'm kidding.
I'm sure Alexis could get that done because, I think it was Bobby Mays who's getting the men's on it together, I believe.
She probably could have a lot to do with it. We'll get with her. They're working on getting that bar open, which I know they were talking about Monday night.
Oh, I saw a video of it today. Catfish FaceTimed me and showed me that. They have a in-ground or underground parking garage.
Yeah, there's a downstairs area, and they're going to put the studios in there or something. I didn't know they had like a parking facility over there.
They sure do. And
wow.
One of the things I had heard was during like football season and I think basketball too, which, during football season, the parking and the traffic is an absolute nightmare. They're going to have a shuttle where they're going to shuttle people from the restaurant to the game and then pick them up after the game, bring them back to the restaurant.
Now that is service.
That is service right there.
You avoid the parking costs. You let somebody else deal with the traffic, and you get a ride back to the bar.
That sounds like a great job for Catfish to do. Give them a little chauffeur's hat and let them go.
Yeah, get them a little speaker on the top.
Yeah.
Too.
Make it they need to get a big orange double-decker bus.
I love it. I can just see that thing going down Kingston Pike, the Sequoia, on those 10-foot wide lanes. Kimberly said, have you heard how Ashland's visit went? I think it went very well. Like I said, is when you can get these players onto Tennessee's campus and they see it, and they see these facilities, it is eye-opening. It really is. I've never heard, a couple times over the years, you've heard a visit didn't go well. Maybe a parent really wanted to do it and the kid didn't want to be there. I think when the kids get here, these visits go well because they see all of it. They see what they've seen on TV, and then they see that locker room. I can't even begin to describe that locker room. I'm sure some of y'all have seen videos. It is one of the most stunning college basketball locker rooms I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. As far as I did want to use a familiar term that our old timers will know, and I know we're about to run out of time, but corn-fed chicks. Y'all remember that team, the 1987 team? Yeah, you're laughing, Alex. You weren't even thought of at that point. You weren't even born yet. You were 3 years from being born. But do you know what corn-fed chick? You know what that refers to in Tennessee?
You may have to tell me.
The 1987 team that won the national title, they were big, they were strong, they were physical, and the opposing team called them those corn-fed chicks from Tennessee. And it has stuck for years. And like I said, I'm not putting pressure on freshmen, but these two freshmen, forwards out of Alabama, Sarah Puckett and Caroline Strickland, just gauging on the photos and the video that I've seen put up on social media, because right now, obviously, media is not allowed on campus, live interviews, any of that. We are not physically over there, cannot see anything. They look like corn-fed chicks, and that is a compliment before anybody gets upset with me. That is a compliment. They are big. I mean, they're broad. Their shoulders are broad. I know they need time to develop. They got to get into college physicality conditioning and strength conditioning, but their frames are, I'm like, man, they remind me of the corn-fed chicks. I would imagine you get them in the paint, you are not going to dislodge them. You are, a lot of freshmen, man, you give them a lower shoulder, give them a good hit, they go tumbling away. I think you're going to hit a brick wall when you hit these two. And like I said, this is a compliment. I think they are going to be able to hold their own and for however many minutes they get in the paint. Kathy said Kaya Wynn looks good too. Yes, Kathy, you may have joined us a little bit later. Kaya, I've said she's got a college-ready frame. That doesn't mean she's, going to be 35 minutes a game, run up and down the court, ready for that kind of pace and physicality. But she certainly has the potential to play a lot as a freshman. She also has an excellent frame. Brooklyn, I love the fact that she's got attitude, and I'm going to show you attitude. And then Alexis Dye, just an experienced kid, another physical kid, not even a kid. I mean, she's a college graduate and somebody who's mature, who knows the college game. I think we're going to see evidence of exactly the type of player and the type of person on and off the court and understanding of basketball that Kelly has in mind when she talks about that blueprint. I think we're going to see that this season. Do they all need time to adjust? Yes. I'm not claiming SEC championships in a year. I think there will be elevated steps up. And I think there will be a team that fans will be excited about to watch. They should be a lot of fun to watch. And hopefully everybody can be in their seats at Thompson Bowling and get back to the atmosphere that everyone knows and loves. I miss the band. That's what I miss the most at basketball games, was no band.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. And, even at the football games, speaking of that, the one thing I cannot stand is how they mic the Pride now. Oh, I hate it because it just has that echo and then it just throws off. I don't understand why they need to mic the band, but anyway, that's probably something we talk about another time.
Yeah, they had to do it at basketball via the PA system, and I mean it's just not the same. It's just no. I need that band. I like them standing up and timeout called and up they go and away. The tuba guys in the back, swaying back and everything about the band. I just love that atmosphere. Renee said, "I'm just excited to get to come to a game again." Yes, it was. I attended all the home games as media. We were all spaced out, well off the floor. It was just weird. I appreciate everything Tennessee did to make it safe and a viable season. It was just unusual for everybody, and I hope we're able to have more normal interaction with players and coaches this coming season, even if it gets gradually made. I don't know where we'll be. Flu season will be back now because everybody's out of their houses again. So, I understand there could be still some restrictions of things that need to be done. I saw where Major League Baseball is letting writers on the field now or in the locker room for interviews if they're vaccinated. So it's, I've got my card ready to go, got my proof ready to go if anybody needs it. So Kathy said, my parents attended all the games, hoping to get my mom back in TBA this year. Kathy, I hope you get her in there. That will be good. It's good for everybody. Donna, I'll be glad to get my section back. Yeah, that was weird. People got scattered all over the place and nobody was sitting where they're used to sitting. So the cat's like, Maria, Mom, I got to eat. We got to get done. Yeah. Alex, I know you probably got another show coming up. We better get out of here. Ran a little bit over. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Anytime Alexis can't make it, we'll chat recruiting. Alex, thank you for jumping in.
It was an absolute pleasure. I appreciate you letting me do it.
You don't have to put up all the logos. OrangeMountainDesigns.com, Blue Water Climate Control. Just pass it. Performance training. Look at Alex go with all the logos. Performance training. particularly Orange Mountain Designs. You already did that one. And of course, I said Blue Water Climate Control. Appreciate them. I need my unit service, so I know who I'm going to call. Anyway, thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you next week. Alexis should be back. Just keep some more thoughts for her. And Alex, you the man. Thanks for producing, making this easier on my life. I'm going to go see what my dog's destroyed in the 45 minutes, hour I've been on here. And we will see you guys in a week. Alex, tell everybody goodbye.
Thanks, everybody. Once again, great show. We appreciate everybody that comes by and stops by. Maria and Alexis, they do an amazing job doing this to bring you guys news, entertainment, and everything. So, I'm just happy to be a part of it. This is a pleasure for me. And thank you, every single body. We'll see y'all next week.